Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome again to one of our theme judged sessions. The theme that we'll be looking at this meeting is the theme for May, which is motion blur. I wanted to change things up for this meeting and use it as a primer for our next meeting. So our June meeting was initially set for membership judging, but I wanted to use this meeting as a precursor to that one to get persons familiar with what we want to do from this type of session. So we would have had images judged by our external judges January through April, and I want to get a sense of what we've learned from those judging sessions to assess our own images and provide feedback on others. I think that would be a good learning and development process as we grow and develop our craft. Before I show the images that are entered, does anyone have any questions? All right, so before I actually share images, let me share the rubric that was shared today. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, seeing your screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I shared this judging guide today when I sent out the meeting link. So this is a guide that we've shared with our external judges to evaluate and score the images that have been submitted thus far. So the images are scored based on 3 criteria. The first is impact criteria and storytelling. The second, technical excellence, focus, color balance, and lighting. And the third, composition, center of interest, and subject matter. I'll assume that everyone reviewed this for this session this evening. Sorry about that. But this is what we'll be this evening, as well as next month's judging. As you can see here, the range of points is allocated. So 1 to 4 needs improvement, 5 to 7 is good, and 8 to 10 is outstanding. Let me now share the images that have been submitted for this month. All right, I've started sharing screen with the images. Can you confirm that you're seeing the image on screen?
Yes, we're seeing them.
Yeah, you're seeing it, yeah.
All right, so the first image up, well, before I start, so how I just want to approach the session, I'll ask an individual that's not related to the image to give their score, and then I ask the person who submitted to score themselves based on the criteria that was shared. Is that fine with everyone?
Yes, sir.
Let me see. I'm not seeing from the entrance. All right, so let me ask Gerald.
Yes, sir.
How are you, sir? All is well?
I am well by the grace of God, man. I'm here.
Good, good. Let me ask first, did you review the judging guide?
Yes, I actually did. Just when I entered the meeting and I made reference to it, I actually did look at it.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you to score this first image.
Okay, no problem.
Let me get my right instrument.
All right. Let me know when you're ready.
1 second.
Based on the criteria, right? I see where it's 3 different areas of focus for points that is allowed. Is it that you give 3 different points or you just give an overall points based on the 3 different areas?
Give the score for each category.
Okay, no problem.
All right, you can go ahead when you're ready.
Okay, no problem. So when I look at the image, I wanted to believe that it looks like a ceiling fan that's spinning, which is very interesting because even though I believe that it can not be a ceiling fan, which is very interesting. So for impact criteria and storytelling, I say so can say a 6.
Okay.
And then for the technical excellence, focus, color, and bright balance, color balance, lighting. As I said, I think I've seen this before in terms of this whole motion blur aspect of it. It is dragging my mind because I want to see if okay then in my mind it's saying that's a ceiling fan or is it not a ceiling fan? But I know something that is spinning that the shooter would have used opportunity to cut that whole motion blur aspect. So I would say for the technical excellence, focus, color balance, lighting, I like the choice in terms of dark outer edges with the focus of the light in the middle and to create that whole motion blur thing, which it really dragging my mind. Immediately look at that, okay, is this a ceiling fan spinning or it's not a ceiling fan spinning? So I could say that was about in terms of the technical excellence and how it actually focused on the center of say the whatever that light object is. So I would say that for 7. And then now for the composition center of interest subject, I give it also another 7. That's my piece.
Gerald.
You hear me?
Yes, I am. I got that.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, baby. All right. Marcel, are you there?
I am. Hello. Hello, everyone.
So,
All right, so
For my
want you
inaugural
know
judging
to
session.
score your image based on the same criteria.
Okay. Thank you. So for my inaugural experience, thank you very much for putting me first. Fanning the trifecta is a ceiling fan, and the trifecta that is behind it for me is the trifecta of life, your success as a human being, your success in your work, your success in relationships. And so for storytelling, I give myself a 7. And I will also, in terms of technical excellence, etc., I would say a 6. I will go lower there for that one because I could not get rid of a blur on the right hand side for the right hand prong of that fan. It was a different, it came up from a light perspective. I couldn't balance that to make it look exactly like the other two. And then for composition, I would say 7.
Repeat that for me, the last one?
The last one is 7.
7, okay. All right, this image is titled, It's a Bird, It's a Plane, No, It's Something Else. Let me ask one of our guests tonight, Amanda, are you up for the task?
1 second, yeah. I just had to mute my fan. Good evening, everyone. Let me just look back at the. You want us to give our critique on each area, right?
Yes.
All right. Sorry?
Along with the score.
One more time.
Along with the score. So
Yeah, that's what I meant.
area
Give the
out of 10.
scores for each
Right,
area.
right.
Sure. So for impact and storytelling, when I first saw this image, I was actually quite impressed. The pan action is really well done in the sense where the streaks are very level. I'm very partial to a black and white. I think it is an excellent shot. Sure, with a pan action, technically you're supposed to have at least 1 point in focus, but do I miss it? No, not really. So the impact, I actually would give it an 8, maybe like a 7.5, the lowest I would go. For the technical aspects, color balance and lighting, I think is really spot on. It's really good. Technical excellence in terms of the theme, which was motion blur, correct? Yeah, that I think was really good. If you want to be precise and say, you should technically have a point in focus, the impact and storytelling kind of outweighs it at this point, because sometimes you don't necessarily have to get things perfect. You need to know how to break certain rules. So in terms of technical excellence, I would actually give it an 8. Where your composition, center of interest. The fact that it is very level, the lines are pretty straight and balanced, and your subject matter, whatever it is, because I cannot for the life of me figure it out, which actually adds to the impact. The fact that you've applied the rule of thirds is very good, and I would give that a 7. Overall, I would give the image, giving everything there, I would give this image a 7.5 overall. It's a very good one.
So confirm that's 8, 7.5.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. I believe this image is Sherrod. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good evening, Sherrod.
Yeah, I'm still driving. Amanda, thanks for your comments. So I think, well, yeah, it's kind of hard to critique your own image.
Which is one of the challenges I want us to have.
So just a story behind it, this was taken down by the waterfront, and I just went out one afternoon and said I was going to shoot motion blur, and I shot several things, people, cars, panning, all that kind of stuff. And I shooting birds as well, and planes, and lots of different things. But then when I came home and tried to decide what I would submit, sure, there were images that had motion blur, but I wanted to kind of do something outside of my usual comfort zone. So when I saw the image, when I looked at this particular image, I first went to, giving it a theme that would speak to the image. And, those of us, who are familiar with Superman, and, when Superman came out, you'd see, a flash flying through the air, and they'd be saying it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Superman. So that's why I came up with this theme for this image. It's actually a pelican that's just cruising across the surface of the water. So the lines that you're seeing are just ripples in the water while I'm panning my camera. And in terms of, rule of thirds and that kind of stuff, it was shot and edited with that kind of stuff in mind. And the image itself, it was late in the evening, so it was probably just about blue hour. So it was really shades of blue and black and that kind of stuff. And I just decided to just make it into a monochrome image. So that's why I chose that. So that, it would be less distracting and that kind of stuff. And then I adjusted some levels and tried to ensure that we had, darks and lights and midtones and that kind of stuff. So did a bit in terms of editing. In terms of scores, I would concur with what Amanda said. I wouldn't vary too much from that. I think it's an image that you either like or you don't like. For me, I liked it because it told a story and a theme. If you didn't have the theme along with the image, you'd probably easily overlook it and say, what is this blurred foolishness? But for the theme, I thought it was an appropriate image and liked it. So, yeah, that's my image. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sherrod. Second. All right. This image is titled My Land. Let's see who I can call on for this one. Sir Somers, are you there? Here? Belinda.
Me?
Belinda.
Me calling? Or
Oh, is that Pierre?
is that me?
I'm not sure who was speaking just now.
I think Pierre answered you.
Yeah. What you mean calling? Yes, I answered yes.
Yes, Pierre.
Yes.
I'm asking you to judge this image.
Oh Lord, you put. Oh, I thought as a judge, I thought there's one. Oh, God. You put me on the spot now. Oh Lordy, Lord.
Giving us mere mortals
No,
the
it's
job of
yeah. I am again. I'm not. I'm no expert. No, I yeah. It fits a theme. The flag is the blurred flag. It's interesting. Unique with a doll, and so I personally like it. I don't know if you to give it a rating. I'm not. I hope you're not asking me to give it a rating.
Did you look at the score sheet?
Huh?
Did you look
I
at
will give it a rating. Huh?
Did you look at this the
Sorry?
judging guide?
Oh shoot. I looked at it, but I didn't know that I was going to go to judge. Oh Lord.
All right, you want to review it and
No, I didn't
I'll call you on another image?
Yeah, yes.
No problem.
Okay, I'll be a good sport and look at it. All right.
Belinda, are you back?
Pretty much friendly and they're going for it. So honestly, if whatever fish is up on top of the floor, I'm gonna try and catch. Come on, fishy. Oh,
Mr. President,
Yes.
I think you should check the comment section too as well, because I think Ms. Zaka had mentioned something. So I think you should check it for me, please, and thank you.
Yeah, it's actually important to look at it. What we're discussing.
Oh, okay. All right, so the explanation Ms. Zucker gave is that, well, the point she made was panning is different from motion blur. Her justification was the camera has to be still as the movement creates the imagery. Amanda expands it to say that the blurred subject in motion is where your subject moves faster than your shutter speed. And the background is in focus, but the subject is blurred.
So I would say to you that I guess because me joining in for the first time, absolutely D is right in that blurred subject in motion is different from pan action, and Gerald's one was clearly pan action. However, it's just a matter of choice of words and your definition in the sense where motion blur different, well, one could argue that motion blur, because of those two particular words, could be a type of pan action could be a type of motion blur because the motion is shown, right? You could make a point for that, as well as it's just a matter of what the definition of the competition was. Was it supposed to be specifically blurred subject in motion? Or just motion blur on a whole? If you understand what I'm saying, or maybe I'm just kind of trying to categorize it when it shouldn't be.
Let me bring up the theme document. But based on our statement,
Yeah, what I'm interested in is know what you said for the competition.
What we had outlined was experiment with intentional motion blur photographs, creating dynamic and visually interesting.
So then it could mean either your subject is in focus, is blurred, or the background is blurred.
Yes. Even my interpretation would have encompassed both. I know
would have encompassed both. And sometimes it can be in streaks or just blur. Okay. So then a pan action would not fall into that category, or would you include it in the category?
Well, my understanding of it would have included it.
Would have included it. Okay.
In doing
All right.
the pan action, you create the blur in the background to show them.
Yeah. Right. Well, you don't necessarily, you can still get a blurred background. With it can be a technical thing where you have at the end of the day, your shutter speed has to be slower than the subject that's going to be blurred. And whether you have someone standing still and then something behind them is moving faster, therefore it being in the background of your image, and that is blurred. And that is street. That still falls into the category of motion blur. I'm thinking as I'm talking. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. Once you look at the description, you can include the pan action in the theme.
That's all right. Thanks for the clarification and discussion as well. Here. Yeah, no. All right, Belinda, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everybody.
All right, I'm giving you the
Okay.
task of judging this one.
Sorry, you want to judge that one?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the first thing is I am not sure if you are allowed to use the flag in that manner. I'm assuming that's a Jamaican flag, right? That's blurred.
Yes, I'd assume so as well.
Yeah, so there's strict protocol in terms of how you're supposed to use the flag. I'm not sure if that's allowed. I like the concept of, I guess, the kind of the dolly holding the flag. The lighting, however, and the crop, I think, could have been better. In terms of showing all of the dolly. It looks a little uncomfortable the way it's cropped. And I think the lighting on the dolly is a little overexposed. And I think you could have positioned the dolly a little better as well.
Remember, we're scoring based on the criteria, so you need to also provide a scoring for each category.
Sorry, what? I just logged in, so I have no idea.
Let me here are the criteria. So all the external judgings has been based on this rubric here.
Uh-huh.
So we're doing our own internal judging and we're using the same rubric.
So you want me to tell you what I think for each one?
Yes.
Okay. one is scored out of 10.
Yes. So
Um,
let me know when if you want me to switch back to the image.
sure, I'll let you know.
Okay. And I'd ask other persons to just review while this is up, in case you are called upon.
All right. Let me give it a go. For composition, can you bring back up the image a second for me, please? Well, it has a clear subject. I'm gonna give it 5. It's not for the composition, 5 for technical, and 7 for concept. Okay, you heard that?
Apologies, I'm here speaking and did unmute. All right, thanks. Thanks for that, Belinda.
Okay.
This image it was submitted by Ms. Zaka. Ms. Zaka?
Can I run away now?
I think
Why?
something is wrong with her. I think something wrong with her mic, so she can't speak. You understand? So I guess probably she'll write it in the comments, because she had just called me to get your attention to what you should have written in the comment section, and then she said something wrong. She has some technical difficulties.
All right, Mizzy, can
Yeah, but
you?
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I was just about to call her back. Should I?
Yes, can go ahead. I can listen to her through your mic.
Okay. Hmm.
I wish you would have called back
Okay.
on the number called.
Oh, my bad. I just kind of picked a number. All right, Donette is here with us. Go ahead, Dee.
Okay. The first thing good evening, everybody. The first thing I wanted to say is that there is a clear distinction between motion blur and panning, which is a kind of blur.
Yeah.
But it's two different activities, two different approaches. One is to allow the camera to capture the movement using a very slow shutter speed. And this is what is happening in here, in this, the flag and the doll. Panning, on the other hand, is moving the camera along with the subject. Now, we have to clarify. I want somebody to Google it. Just Google it while we are here talking and you can read it back. we have to be clear. Let's say this was an international competition.
Yeah, the clarification is
Have
needed.
to be sure that we're doing the right thing. Okay. In my composition, the flag is what is blurred. The flag is the subject. The doll is the supporting element. The background is just ruled out so you're not distracted by anything else. This is my land, and it is saying, it is speaking to the flag. I have pretty much used the rule of thirds, so you look at it and you see the flag right away. Yes, there is a doll, it's smaller, and it is just in support of. I don't want to give it a grade because we're getting confused as to what is the right thing to do. We have to be absolutely sure everybody is on the right track. Are we panning or are we doing motion blurs? Would not be permissible. Let's accept that. And let's accept that on what? Learn to what? I didn't see the rest of that. You saw that comment?
Yeah, it says if international, then images would not be permissible. Let's accept that and learn to be more specific in our description going forward. I agree with that because the description in the competition is very vague. And D is right. There is a distinct description, distinct difference between the two, but based on the theme description, you're not really clear.
Okay.
As in that's I'm speaking to oh my gosh, not speaking to you. I'm speaking to Dwayne. That said that.
First, the image with the fan is clearly motion blur.
Yeah.
So the fan is there, the circle, the center of the fan is there, and you can see the movement of the blades. That's a motion blur. The one with the horizontal lines, I think, is a pan.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the other one? It was three of them. But let us bear that in mind going forward. Let's bear that in mind going forward. So all we're looking for now is a pleasing finish to a blur.
And I saw that.
Belinda.
Yeah.
All right.
Hold on one second, Belinda. Donette wasn't hearing you. Were you speaking to Donette, Belinda? Or am I?
Look here, we can't go ahead. You can just write your comments and I'll go back to it.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you much.
Lauren shared a definition. Panning is a photographic technique that combines a slow shutter speed with camera motion to create a sense of speed around a moving object.
Yeah, that's
the way to
point.
keep your subject in focus while blurring your background.
Or part thereof of the subject. I would add that. It's a way to keep your subject or part thereof in focus. Because there's another image that does panning and there's another point of focus in there, but it's part of the subject.
So there's a technique that I've seen like wedding photographers use. Mainly around reception area, like when they're on dance floor, where
is it this new blurred photo technique that's coming around?
Well, it's not new if it's the same one I'm talking about.
Okay.
So they tend to use like a wide angle lens, and they have one subject more than likely centered, and when they fire off the image, it's with a slower shutter speed, and then they twist the camera while they
zoom burst.
No, it's not zoom.
You're talking about a zoom burst?
No, they just twist the camera. So the flash freezes the person dancing, but everyone else around them is blurred in a circle motion because of the twisting that's done with the camera.
Are they twisting the camera or the lens?
They're twisting the camera.
Okay, all right, yeah, because Zoom versus Lens. Okay, okay, that's what they're doing. Okay.
If you understand that description, would that be considered motion blur as well?
Boy, that is definitely food for thought. I guess if we're going with the technical
intentional
aspect that
camera
Donnet is,
Gerard was asking if it was intentional camera motion, and I'm responding yes.
That's the difference. That's the difference. If you're moving the, because with what you just described, you're moving the camera. With the panning, you're moving the camera. With what Donnet is talking about, the camera is still, but you have a slow shutter speed and your subject is moving fast, therefore creating a motion blur via the subject, right? So that's why the clarity is needed.
Okay. So the distinction is whether the camera is moving or not.
Say that again?
I'm asking the distinction is whether the camera is moving or not.
Yeah, that is a distinction. So in regards to the theme now, you who came up with the theme would need to make that distinction because that is the distinction between both of those things, whether the camera is moving or not. So if for the theme of the month, if you're willing to include that, then the panning for the second one falls into the category or falls into this competition. But for international competitions, it would not.
Okay, understood.
And we have to focus on where we want to go as a group.
So we need to do some additional work when defining or describing theme. Noted.
I mean, at this point, wouldn't it be too late?
Sorry?
No, I was saying for the to redefine the theme is a little too late. So this
No,
kind of...
I was just speaking going forward.
Oh, yeah. Wait.
Let me see, how many do we have left? I think, Pierre, are you ready? Not? Okay. Let's see who else is here. Lorraine, would you like to give it a shot?
Oh dear. Okay. I have to get back my phone. I took a picture of the criteria. 1 second.
No problem. Gerard, are you still driving or you're not stationary?
That question was to me, Dwayne?
Yes, I was asking if you're still driving.
No, man, I'm stationary now.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. A pleasing image, nice colors. Impact. If you're interested in these kind of places and things, you say, wow, where is this? You know, it kind of piques your interest and you want to know. How did the person get that image? Were they in the water? Were they climbing the falls? What were they doing? For impact criteria and storytelling, I'd go with 7. Technical excellence, focus, color balance, lighting, 8. Composition, center of interest, subject matter, What did all of that say now? A 7 on that for me.
Okay. This image was Glendon. Sir Coke? Sir Coke, you're here?
Sorry, good evening. Good evening, Mr. President. I'm having internet issues. I'm jumping in and out, so I'm not hearing anything. I'm not even seeing the photos. So I
Oh,
am just here making up photos. So hello.
well, your image was just judged by Lorraine. So I wanted to hear your score of your own image. Leonard? Okay.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Hello.
I'm hearing you, Leonard.
Oh, okay. As I'm saying, I'm having internet challenges. Uh, Connected. I keep jumping in and out. So my judge, I didn't hear what was said about my piece a while ago. So I'm not sure what to say.
Well, not hearing is fine, but how did you score your image? Or how are you scoring your image?
Oh, okay. I'm still in the learning stages. So I am, and I usually very critical of my own work. I submitted that piece because I was, even though I got clarity, I was still unsure, motion blur. If it should be this subject that is blurred or the background that is blurred, I wasn't sure, and I thought the safest bet was water, um, to have that blurred. Overall, I'm happy because that was um that was taken about some weeks ago, and I was just it was very overcast and rain, and I decided to shoot in manual, um, for whatever reason. So
Are you still speaking?
if you're hearing me, I think it's best you continue.
All right, then, no problem. If you can hear me, I'll still ask that you share your score in the chat. Next image is tripping. Hmm. I think I may want to call on Amanda again. This might be something that will spark some discussion.
I am laughing. Why do you think so? Why you call on me? All right. Okay, so technicality. Let me just find back the things right there. It is. So, all right, for each category, impact and storytelling, I would give this one in the 1 to 4 range. It does need some improvement because there's not much of an impact. Upon first looking at this image, looking at the composition, it's not level. There's a cutoff at the bottom of a mat. And also when I first saw this image, this is camera shake as opposed to motion blur. It could be an attempt at motion blur in a sense where I'm not sure if the person had it on manual or shutter speed priority, but regardless, obviously the shutter was slow, that there may have been an attempt with that, but everything is blurry. So at this point, this is definitely camera shake where it didn't really meet the criteria for the motion blur in terms of technical aspect and focus. There is nothing in focus at all. Overall, I definitely say this image does need some improvement. Lighting, it's not a terribly exposed image. And the color composition, color balance is fine. In terms of center of interest, there really is no center of interest. There needs to be more clarification in terms of leading lines. I see that attempt. But when you look at the far left, the stairs are cut off and then you have the border on the far right. So imagine recomposing this image where you're standing perfectly in center. That would give you a better composition and also have your leading lines there. Yeah, unfortunately, I would give it in the needs improvement category.
All right, so I got 4 for center for storytelling.
Repeat that.
For impact criteria and storytelling, I got 4. What did you give for technical?
Same. I mean, as in, like, all right. So if you want a definite number as opposed to the range, you want a definite number as opposed to the range?
Yes.
All right. So for overall impact, I would give it, honestly, a 1. There's nothing of impact there. Technicality, the same thing. Composition, I'd maybe go up to a 4 because I see an attempt with the leading line and the composition because there's an attempt there, but the overall rating's nothing higher than a 4.
Okay.
And that's being a little generous, to be honest with you. I'm sorry for the harsh critique, but we're all here to learn. And I would like to know the thought process and the attempt behind it so that we can know how to correct and move forward.
I believe this image was Denise. I don't think she's here this evening. No, she's not. But I have no problems with I'd say hard critiques. We're all here to learn and to be better, and we won't always get the cherry on top critique for images, especially if we're aiming for exhibitions or entering competitions outside of Jamaica?
Definitely, that one would not unfortunately have made any qualification for international ones.
Next image is Velo Frenzy. Sherrod, can you take this one?
What was the theme for this one? Title?
Velo Frenzy.
Velo Frenzy. Okay. Okay.
Just a quick question. Well, I should probably ask it after you have spoken. Let me ask also. Go ahead, Sherrod.
Okay, so describing the image, we see several cyclists. It looks like a curved pathway, so I guess that's why the title is Velo Frenzy from Velodrome. I don't know much about cycling, but I assume that's what you're making reference to. Background is blurred. The cyclist to the left of the image, quite blurred, and also the cyclist to the right of the image, quite blurred as well. The cyclist who is towards the right of center is the one that you can make out most. He's wearing red, quite striking color. And you can actually see his face as well. You have some blurred lights in the background. So in terms of impact criteria and storytelling, I would give this image a 9. It certainly coincides with the theme Velo Frenzy. Because of the blurred image, it does look frenetic, and you can make out that these are cyclists going. So I think the theme, the title of the image certainly goes along with the image. Because of the colors within the image as well, it is certainly impactful. In terms of technical excellence, focus, color balance, lighting, again, I can't fault this image at all. What I would say though is that sometimes it's difficult when you're seeing an image on a computer via Zoom versus if you had the image to look at yourself, because there is a bit of there's a bit of noise in this image. I'm not sure whether the noise is as a result of how the image was taken or how it's being transmitted via the electronic media that we're looking at. So
it does have the noise.
right. So if I were to fault this image in anything technically, I would say that it is a bit noisy. And where this is concerned, I think technically you have AI tools that you can use to improve noise and that kind of stuff. So for technical excellence, focus, color balance, lighting, I would give it an 8. There's a light that is in the top left corner, that orange light, which is a little distracting. It pulls my eyes from time to time. I realize that, you have streaks of light in the background. But I would probably just clone that bit out because it's a tad distracting. And then for composition, center of interest, subject matter, I would give this a 9 as well. So I think it's an excellent image. I only fault it because to me it looks a little noisy. So I don't know if that was a technical issue or not. But apart from that, I think it fits the title that was given and the theme of the evening.
All right, thank you, Sherrod. This image was submitted
This Roberts.
Yeah, Robert, I'm here.
by Rob.
Robert's image?
Yes.
I could have told that one.
Yeah, it was actually taken at a recent cycling event in Trinidad. Cycling is very big down here. So I was trackside and I was panning slightly, but as you can see, the riders are going around at a much faster pace. So I was just standing there holding the camera, waiting until they got into the frame. And then I kind of just took a few, took a few shots. I think this one came out the best. It's actually a 30-lap scratch race. So, frenzy, everybody is, as you use the right word, frenetic, trying to justify position. There are two Jamaican riders in there. As you can see, one in the Jamaican colors to the left of center. The gentleman in red is actually a Jamaican rider as well, but he didn't have his Jamaican kit. So he actually came out a bit focused by accident. But overall, I'm pleased. Thank you for the critique.
Hey, do you recall your camera settings on this one, Robert?
Okay, the cameras, I was at about I don't quite remember, but I think it was F8 was the aperture setting. Shutter speed was 1/15 of a second, and ISO was around 850.
What was the ISO?
Around 850.
850. Okay.
On the outside and perimeter of the track, there were actually tents there with people selling food and stuff like that. I didn't really want that to distract from the riders. So I actually looked up the theme, panning versus, the image. So I kind of just wanted to get the background out. I just wanted to focus viewing on the actual subject, which was for the cyclists themselves. So I think there's a little debate about whether panning and whether the image itself is supposed to be blurred and the background in focus, or a little bit of both. So, but anyway, this is what I came up with. So it is what it is.
How would you score yourself on those three categories, Robert?
Well, you all know I'm a newcomer to this thing. I prefer not to score myself really, but I would think at best I would have gotten about a 7, But well, honestly, I thought that it would have been about a 7, overall, 7 for each category. So I don't know if that is going to bring me down. I think what was it? It was Sherrod that scored it.
Yes.
I think he was pretty generous. Yeah. But as I say, I'm a newcomer, so I'm really not really au fait with the finer technicalities of judging a photograph yet. So that's why I would have preferred to defer judging myself.
Sherrod, you had mentioned something about the noise. So the fact that the ISO was at 850 is what you said it was?
Yeah, I think it was that. I would have to go and look back at the what you call it, the data.
Yeah, that would explain why there's a little bit of noise, but I understand why in terms of you were in a low light setting.
Right. Right. So that night.
Right. Had you said F8, you could have gotten away with a 1/15 of a second. That's quite slow. Were you using a tripod? No, you said you were panning a
No,
little bit.
it was freehand. I was
Just
actually standing on
freehand.
the side of the track. Yeah, I was about 10 feet from the riders actually.
Yeah.
You know, and
Perhaps
I
if
think
you had a wider aperture opening, you could have reduced your ISO to reduce the
okay,
amount of noise. I mean, the noise
a noise,
isn't overwhelming. Maybe
right?
that is because of how it's being transferred to us via Zoom, but it's not overwhelming. But certainly opening up your aperture somewhere would not have gone down any slower because it's already a very slow shutter speed. I'm impressed that you, I mean, it would also explain why you have motion blur there because you're at 1/15th of a second. But had you gone down to say F4, it would have helped you with the lighting. So you would not have had to have had a 850. You probably
Okay,
could have
fine.
gotten away with maybe 400.
With
You still
400,
get a
okay,
bit of grain there.
right.
But I like to use 400 as the line between artistic grain and low quality grain.
Okay,
I personally like 400.
okay, fine.
But I think a relevant question is, what type of camera were you using?
That's
Oh,
also
this was
very
my
good.
Was a crop sensor or more?
this was my crop sensor, D7200,
Okay.
Nikon.
Okay.
So one of the things that we all need to do is know the limits of the camera. Depending on the environment that you're in, the lighting conditions, etc. How far can you push your ISO without degrading the image?
Yeah, when
Yeah,
you're taking
that's
an image like
important.
when you're taking an image like this, sometimes you don't have much time to fiddle around with settings. I guess maybe I could wait until they come around again because I had about but when you usually at about halfway through the race, you have like I wanted to catch the bunch, when they were bunched up a bit. Usually halfway through the race, it starts to string out. So you get in there's one or two riders coming by. Sometimes some riders even get lapped. So
So you're saying your time was limited.
yeah, it was limited to us to an extent,
Okay.
right?
So my advice there, I definitely agree with Dwayne in that you have to know your camera because there are with the technology that's happening, that's not happening, that's been going on forever. The newer cameras, you are able to push your ISO higher than say we typically would in say 2005. And not degrade your image because
Right.
now they're allowing
Okay.
you to go up to I think like 52,000. I think some cameras go up to. Obviously at that level you will get image degrading, but you could get away with say the 1600 in today's cameras as opposed to a camera 10 years ago. So that's why Dwayne is correct in saying you need to know your limits of your camera. To the point that you are making in that you had limited time. This is why I always suggest that you get to if you haven't, I don't know if you were or not, but if you were, start shooting before the event even takes place, just so you can see what your exposure is. And that way, okay, at this ISO, I will get this exposure. If people are doing practice laps, shoot during the practice lap, so you can know, okay, this shutter speed will work. So for example, I'm not sure if everybody here knows, I do teach at Edna. And when I'm telling my students to go out on location, you have to scout your location first. It's ideal if you do. Now, if we're going on a field trip, like us, the group, and we've never been to a location before, then obviously we can't scout the location before. It doesn't always allow for that matter. But if you are able to, so say for example, this event, they would have had to set up the tents the night before. Perhaps you could go the night before to see what the lighting setting is, and then you can have a better idea as to what will happen when the event takes place, because you never want to be caught or not never, you want to try and avoid being caught off guard. So you said you're new, you're still learning. We're all learning. We're all lifelong learners. But one of the things that you need to learn to understand, which I see that you're getting it, is to understand the camera settings triangle. And I use that phrase purposely. A lot of times people will say it was originally called the exposure triangle.
Okay.
Right. But no, I've heard it being renamed as the camera settings triangle. That's a
Okay.
whole different discussion for a different time.
Kind of like a
Once
paradigm
you,
shift.
yeah, sort of. Once you understand how each of those elements work together, then you can learn to read the light without your camera and say, okay, I am in a night event. I already know that I need to start at ISO 800. These people are going to be going really fast, so I need a high shutter speed, but can I get that? Then how low can my aperture go? So, and you can kind of plug in these settings, do test shots, and say, okay, this combination works well for this setting, and then you can go and use something very quickly once the event happens.
All right, question for you, Robert.
Yes.
Do you mostly shoot in the days?
You know, no, I let me tell you, I don't shoot as much as you guys,
No, I'm just talking generally.
Generally, yeah, I try to shoot like early morning,
More
late afternoon.
days than nights.
I find that shooting in the day when the satellite is hot, your images tend to come out a little washed out. I actually was trying to capture early in the year. I was able to capture some waterfalls, going up by Newcastle there are some little waterfalls on the roadside. Actually, yeah, and there's a catchment area there. I think it's a feeder for Catherine's Peak. But I realized I actually wanted to get the water flowing, looking like, looking very frosty, which I was able to capture. But I realized that was late afternoon, and then I went out to St. Thomas to try and see if I could capture the waterfall out by Roselle, just before you get into to Morant Bay there. And I came home with pure trash. I mean, it was just totally, but I think it was too light. The light was just too bright to get that frosty effect. It has to be a long exposure, and with a long, no matter how much you turn up the aperture. I mean, I was using an aperture of like, must say f22 or something like that to try and cut down the amount of light. But it was like a 1.5 second exposure, and it was just washed out. It was a wasted day. So, but I'm kind of, depending on what I want to capture, because I try capturing trailing lights. I went out to the bridge on Mandela, right near Hydel, where you have that new gas station there. And I had a tripod, and I was looking west along Mandela, and I got some good trailing lights, but one part of it was just overexposed. And even when I maxed out the aperture to sort of cut down the light, it was still one part of it was still coming out overexposed. I was actually thinking of using that, but no matter what I tried to prop it wasn't working for me. And then, sometimes when you go shooting this was at night, and there are kind of elements around, and people know you are there, and they start attracting attention. So kind of got very uncomfortable, then I just kind of had to leave. So, that's the other side of photography in Jamaica. You like to go out and do a lot of stuff, but the safety factor is, you have to bear that in mind.
So the reason why I asked is most of us tend to, when we're out in the days, we want to get this very sharp image. So we go for higher aperture numbers. So the f8s, the f10s, the f12.
Right.
But it's a different ball game when it comes to night.
Right.
So the smaller you make your aperture, which is the larger the aperture number,
Right, right. So on the larger, the
and
smaller
gives
the aperture, so
more
less
of the
light coming in.
image
Right.
sharp, but it also reduces the amount of light that hits the sensor.
Right.
So at
Right.
nights, you really have to flip that methodology. And
Right.
if you would normally start at f8, start at say f4 or f2.8 and work your way to a wider aperture.
Yeah. Yeah. I started doing that. I almost got it, but I plan to go back out. I'm gonna try it in the morning hours this time, when maybe like at around 4, 5 o'clock. Well, the mornings are 6 o'clock is bright now almost. So I'm thinking that maybe like around 5:30, go out there and just, it's not as what should I say? And just try my hand again and see what I could come up with. But I take what you're saying about the aperture, and the lights because actually for that particular exposure that I got, it was actually in order to get the cars, because you want to get the taillights and the headlights moving, as a streak. So I had to give it like about a 3 or 4 second shutter speed, which really is a long. It's quite a good amount of time for a lot of light to get into the camera. That's just my thinking, trying to kind of match to it in my head.
Yeah, so for something
But
like
I get what you're saying,
for something like a light trail, you want a longer shutter. So using a higher aperture number, f8, f10 works in that sense. But say you're shooting an event like this, you want to increase the amount of light that enters the lens and hits the sensor.
Yeah.
So you can speed up your shutter.
Right. Right.
For me, if I'm shooting an internal event at night, or a low lit scene, I would default to, well, depending on the lens, f2.8 or f2.2, and then my ISO is defaulted at ISO 60.
Right, because then you get a nice blurred background.
Right. And then I understand my camera that between at least up to say ISO 4000, the noise level is pretty decent. So I start at ISO 1600 in low light scenes and adjust from there.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's all a learning. It's all learning, and it's part of the journey.
Yeah, and that's why I took up this, because it's stimulating for the brain, I think I mentioned that before. So I'll continue to try and persevere and go out and shoot some more.
All right, it was an interesting evening. Some good discussion points. At least for me, I need to do some more research. And when we're discussing themes, we need to do additional research and be more specific in how we describe the themes. I think it was a good evening. Anyone have any comments? Or
what's the next theme?
The next theme is I looked at that today. For golden hour magic. Capture the warm and magical moments during golden hour of the golden hours of sunrise or sunset. This will also be a member judged session as well. Right. If there are no other comments or discussion points, I'll call for this meeting to be adjourned. All right.
All right, thanks.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, man. Have a good evening,
Everyone.
everybody.
Take care.
Take care.
All right, bye all.
Come on, Tom.